Howdy folks, how's it going? Stout Man coming back at you again, wearing my glasses today because I want to look smart. Nah, I just want to talk to you today about something interesting that happened last week. Apparently, 20th Century Fox has decided to stop selling and stop producing Simpsons DVDs, like these, like the season sets right here. So yeah, sad news, definitely, especially for collectors who were hoping to get all of the DVDs, and this was one of those sets where, you know, you could rely on, like, they had already released, like, how many seasons? 14, 15, 16 on DVD? Yeah, they had released a lot of sets of Simpsons on DVD, and they had almost released every single season on DVD. And now, towards the end, when they're almost there, they've decided to just stop putting Simpsons on DVD, which it sucks, and it feels like it's stupid because they've already gone to the trouble of making all the other seasons and putting all the other seasons on DVD and putting all the special content and whatnot that they have become notorious for putting on their Blu-rays or on the DVDs. So here you've got a company who has gone far enough to produce well over half of all of the seasons of Simpsons on DVD, and just right in the middle of it, we're like all the other freaking companies out there that don't give a damn, we're just gonna stop right there, right in the middle. So you can't have all of this. Nope. Oh, you want season 1 on DVD? Well, we've got season 1 on DVD. But if you want any of the newer seasons, no, not gonna happen. But that being said, I want to talk about some of the reasons that this is happening and some of the things that this does not mean. Because I recently read an article about this on geek.com. That's right, geek.com, not geeky. And aside from being incredibly poorly written, to the point where there were misspelled words and all that crap all over the place in the article, aside from that, it was not just clickbait, it was hyperbole. They were saying that the cancellation of Simpsons on DVD was the death knell of physical media itself. I'm sorry, can you freaking believe that statement? That, oh, the Simpsons aren't coming out on DVD anymore, therefore physical media itself is dying. And it is dead. And it will be no more. It is only a matter of time. This is the death knell of physical media. This tells you what's coming in the future. And what's coming in the future is the death of physical media. Yeah, if that sounds a little stupid to you, there's a reason for that. Now, as I've already gone over, it's sad and it's kind of stupid that they're not putting it out on DVD. But here's the thing. The Simpsons don't hold the same popularity that they once did. I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of people love The Simpsons, but most of the people who do love The Simpsons are more than likely fans of the earlier original stuff from back in the 90s. You know, the first 5 to 10 seasons or so of content. They don't really care about the, you know, season 10 afterward. Or even like season 15 afterward, if you really want to stretch it. You know, most people stopped watching the show 5-10 years ago. And they're still making it because it's still popular enough, because it will always be that show that's, you know, excellent, and it's very good and very decent, and it's always going to be something that people can rely on. You know what I mean? It's become that staple of television that people rely on. One generation had Johnny Carson, one generation had I Love Lucy, this generation has The Simpsons. And it'll be that staple for people who can't afford cable, for people who can't afford any other means, for the low class people out there like you or me, maybe not you or me, but you know, people who can't afford any kind of cable or of streaming media or anything like that, or even maybe even the internet at all, itself, you know. So there are people out there. There are a lot of people in the United States, in the world, that rely on The Simpsons every week for that kind of entertainment, because they know that they can get that kind of entertainment that way, and that they don't have to pay anything for it because it's on broadcast television, and they can watch it the way they've always watched it. So, yes, there is still a certain segment of the population that is still watching The Simpsons live on TV. Well, not live, but every weekend when it comes on. There are still people out there who watch it, and there are still people out there who watch the reruns. And as evidenced by the big every episode of The Simpsons thing that they did last year, there are still a lot of people out there who do still love The Simpsons as well, and who do want to see, reruns of the show and whatnot. But there aren't as many people watching the newer stuff. That's the point I'm trying to make here. I don't think it can be denied that there are more people who would rather see the old Simpsons than there are people who want to see the new Simpsons. So the first thing I think when they say they're canceling their DVD sets of The Simpsons, first of all, is it probably has something to do with poor sales of the most recent seasons of Simpsons on DVD. On Twitter and in the social media universe and whatnot, the Twitterverse, you've got people who were working on The Simpsons, who were working on these DVD sets, who are saying pretty much in roundabout terms that they weren't making enough money on the DVD sets to be able to warrant making them. Because we're talking about DVD sets that get mass produced. These things are produced on a huge scale because it's a show like The Simpsons. It's a huge show. So immediately, it's Fox's bread and butter, essentially. It has been for so long. So immediately, if they aren't able to make enough money to warrant all of the production costs that go into the DVDs, why? Why then would you make the DVDs? It makes sense. If you think about it, it all makes sense. People aren't watching the new stuff. People don't want to watch the new stuff. Most of the people who do want to watch the new stuff can't afford to get the DVDs. They don't want the DVDs. They just want to watch the new stuff when it comes out or through reruns on television that they can afford. And if they can't afford it, that's what I'm saying here, is that The Simpsons and the audience for The Simpsons today relies heavily on the lowest common denominator, and the lowest common denominator, honestly, just they don't have the money to buy DVDs. They don't want to buy DVDs. They don't want to buy Blu-rays. They don't have the money for Blu-rays. They don't have the money for much of anything, because all they can afford to do is catch it when it comes in on reruns, or catch it when it comes on every weekend, the new episodes. Of those people who can afford it, I can't imagine a lot of people actually do want to get the newer stuff, because it is generally accepted that the newer episodes of The Simpsons are not as good as the original, first 5 to 10 seasons. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I haven't seen much of that. I mean, like most people, I stopped watching quite a long time ago. So I'm going to reserve my thoughts on whether or not it's worth picking up. I'm going to hold those off, because I don't know. I honestly don't know. What I do know is that people have essentially here, in this case, voted with their wallets and said that they don't like this content. So when I see somebody coming out and saying that the reason for all of this, that the sign that it puts out there to everyone out there, and that what this really means is that physical media is going to die. That's stupid. That's so stupid. You have to be so stupid to actually think that, because that ignores everything. It spits in the face of everything we're currently seeing in the DVD and Blu-ray market. If you look at companies like Criterion and Arrow and Shout Factory and Scream Factory and Mill Creek and all these, one could say like boutique DVD manufacturing, Blu-ray manufacturing companies out there who are putting out all this interesting content in interesting new ways. What it shows you is that the smartest people out there, when it comes to physical media, the smartest companies out there are already starting to make decisions to ensure the longevity of their company and the longevity of their products. So, yes, not that many people buy physical media anymore. Yes, it's a niche market. Everyone understands that, or at least most people understand that. It's become a niche market. Both DVDs and Blu-rays have become a niche market. But that's okay when you're selling and catering your content directly to the niche audience. And here's where I'm going to make my point about The Simpsons here. Do you think of the Simpsons audience, the audience that I've just described, and how varied and strange and crazy and popular and wide and just ridiculous? It's almost impossible to quantify everything about this audience. Do you think of that audience as a niche audience? Do you think that there's only a niche, a certain segment of people out there that like The Simpsons? Because the answer is no. It's not a niche audience. The only way you could really see it as a niche audience is if you said that the people who were interested in this kind of stuff are of a certain, that they've been Simpsons fans for life, and they're going to buy anything and everything Simpsons, and or they just so happen to have enough money one day, even though they're poor and destitute, and they can only ever afford to watch it on, over the air broadcast. This audience is so wide and so varied that it's impossible really to tell whether or not they're going to have the money to pay for a new season of Simpsons on DVD, or whether or not they're even going to want to, because they don't see it as being as good as the earlier seasons, which are already out on DVD. So, faced with the choice, you're talking about an audience that may not have a lot of money here, because you're talking about an audience that is still watching this over the air. If this audience does not have a lot of money, chances are they're not going to go out and buy the newest season on DVD. They're going to buy their favorite seasons. They're going to buy the original seasons. They're going to buy this right here. And the other seasons, like 1 through 10, essentially. So yeah, in a certain sense, the type of people that would buy The Simpsons on DVD are a niche market. And they treat them like a niche market too, to a certain extent, by giving them all this content, special content on each DVD set, and coming out with these cool special editions of the DVD sets and whatnot. And it's sad, like I said, that they will not be doing them anymore. But it's not hard to believe that a company like 20th Century Fox would do something like this, because they're a big company. You're not talking about a company that's thinking about the niche. They're thinking about the big time, the big picture. Everything they do is big picture. So, when you get a company that's big picture and they see sales dropping off like nobody's business on their DVDs of their Simpsons sets, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to try and analyze the audience and see what would best fit this audience and cut down on production numbers, only create so many of these, and then maybe raise the price a little bit to offset the production costs? And do you think they're actually going to go to the effort of doing that, or do you think they're just going to say, well, this is over with, we can't sell these anymore? They're a big picture company. And you know what? I hate that. I think that's stupid. I think it's lazy. And I think it's exactly what I've come to expect from a major Hollywood company. And that's exactly what 20th Century Fox is. And that's why, when you look at their DVDs and their Blu-ray sets, typically they are the ones that come in the eco cases, that don't come with very many special features, that don't come in very many special box sets or anything like that, that don't have any other, booklets or anything. that the steelbooks that do come out are usually lazy and also featureless. These are the companies that are not concerned with actually feeding the niche that they can make quite a bit of money off of if they actually just start selling the product correctly. So if you want someone to blame here, blame 20th Century Fox. And if you're going to say that this is the death knell of physical media, you are wrong. All this means is that the major studios are probably soon going to either start cutting their losses and being more selective with what they put out on Blu-ray and DVD, which they already are, but they're going to start doing that, or they're just going to stop putting things on DVD and Blu-ray. Oh, I can tell you right now, the end of DVD is definitely coming, but the end of Blu-ray, that's far off. There's still a lot going on with Blu-ray. You can tell because they're starting to put like entire seasons and series of TV shows on like one Blu-ray disc, as we kind of foretold would happen years ago. Just putting a bunch of TV episodes on one or two Blu-ray discs. And I have no doubt the guy who, I can't remember his name, but the guy who was talking about this, who was working on these DVDs previously, the Simpsons DVDs, he was talking about this, and he said that if they do ever get around to doing another thing like this, if they do ever get around to releasing The Simpsons on DVD again, it will probably be a full season or full series set, which would be a massive thing that would cost a lot of money. But I have no doubt that if they actually did that, that it would be on Blu-ray. And I have no doubt that it would be like between 5 and 10 discs, because that's all it would take to fit all that content on one set on Blu-ray, because of how much space is on Blu-ray. So that's what Blu-ray is going to become. And we're also going to have these companies like we have right now, like Shout Factory and like Scream Factory and Arrow. Arrow just expanded into the North American market. Shout Factory created Scream Factory in the past few years. They're branching out. I mean, all of these companies are branching out. They're becoming successful. They're being successful, catering to the niche market in physical media. So among all the success in the physical media market, I don't see how anyone could actually believe that physical media is about to die just because they're not putting Simpsons on DVD anymore. Like I said, that really blows goats, but it's not the end, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the end.